Majority of the people currently are actually furloughed, are only working for 15 days, those who are in full-time employment. Many small businesses which are keeping the businesses running, they have employees work only for 10 days. They're taking 20% cuts, 30% cuts, 50% pay cuts to keep the business running and the show going on.
In this episode, folks, we're going to talk a lot about um, how to navigate through job loss or during a pandemic. And Janaki here has written several posts on LinkedIn about this, and it's just been a very big deal for so many people all over the world to be dealing with this right now. So without further delay, let me introduce our returning guest specializes in HR advisory, recruiting, employer branding, content marketing, and networking, among many other qualifications. She's an HR expert, a consultant working in partnership across various industries, providing career counseling, training, coaching services for many companies and employees. Over the last decade or so, she's worked with over 40,000 candidates, folks, optimizing their resumes, maximizing their social media profiles towards better careers, including many who have branched off into their own startups. Her background in psychology, management, HR, and 12 years, the past 12 years, passionately helping people has brought her to create her own consulting firm, catering to employers and startups. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome back Janaki to the show, all the way from India.
Thanks, Everold. Thanks for getting me an opportunity to speak to more people on the show. Thanks.
And you know what? When you say that, you have a ton of followers who checked in the episodes the last time. Like, I've never had so many people from India listening to the show, but there's like hundreds and hundreds of them commenting and engaging with us. So I want to say thank you to them for engaging with the show for sure, and giving their feedback, and they're very supportive of you, and I think that speaks a lot to the value that you bring to the table as far as your followers are concerned as well. So congratulations for building a following of like almost 28,000 people on LinkedIn in a very short time, and who seem to be, very, very supportive of you. So congratulations for sure. So aside from the obvious times that we're in right now, Janaki, why does this subject of dealing with job loss and in this pandemic resonate, and why have you talked so much about it on LinkedIn?
Majority of the people currently are actually furloughed, are only working for 15 days, those who are in full-time employment. Many small businesses which are keeping the businesses running, they have employees work only for 10 days. They're taking 20% cuts, 30% cuts, 50% pay cuts to keep the business running and the show going on. So to each organization and to every person, this experience pans out very differently. There is nobody who is left out, whether it is a business person or whether it is an employee, whether it is a freelancer or whether it is a self-employed person. COVID has definitely had some or the other impact in the way he or she lives or makes a livelihood. In every way, it has touched them in some form or the other. So it makes it more important to talk about job loss at this point of time and how to navigate it. Right now, I would say if you have any business who's running and any entrepreneur who's still paying you salaries, you must be very lucky the way they have planned their business, or they are currently ensuring that they are planning their business to ensure that salaries are on time and they're making payments on time. So be very grateful if you're still having your job and still your management is trying to navigate the business and ensuring that the ship doesn't sink. So that's what I would say about these current times.
Absolutely. Well, you sum it up pretty good. I mean, that's a pretty realistic summary of what's going on. You know, making sure that the ship don't sink and trying to navigate and make necessary cuts or necessary adjustments as needed, but still keeping everyone's interest in mind. So maybe as a team working for a company, everybody takes a little bit of a cut, but it helps to sustain overall the business. So, you know, so that everyone can have a chance to go longer, to innovate, to create, and to last, and to come through this on the other side. So, what are some of the trends you've noticed as people try to navigate through this pandemic as it relates to job loss? There's definitely a lot of things going on with the amount of time that people have now. So what are some of the trends you've noticed?
See, some of the trends that I noticed recently is many of the shops or the showrooms which actually run OTC, over the counter trade, since the customers are not going to those shops because of social distancing, many of them are reinventing to make sure that instead of having the customer come to the market, let's go to the customer. Recently, a very leading footwear brand in India said that, we'll have footwear on wheels, and it actually went to the doorstep of the customer to make sure that, there is some kind of sales that happen. So I also feel that this is a very good time to think differently in terms of how you can get your sales promotion done and have the sales spiked up, irrespective of the fact that, customers are not buying, or there is some way there are people who are still doing sales. If you look at the e-commerce is where the maximum sale is happening because people are at home. And you would be surprised to know that one of the television brands sold the maximum unit of televisions in the month of June. Because people were at home and they have ordered for televisions. So even at this pandemic time, there are some categories and there are some industry which are doing exceptionally well when it comes to essential services, food services, uh, whole lot of services. It's just that it is being marketed differently, it is being promoted differently, and people are thinking out of the box to make sure that a sale happens.
No, that's outstanding, and you definitely have to pivot and you have to innovate with your thinking and your approach for sure. You just simply have to keep trying new things every day, and speaking about televisions selling out in India, in North America here, and I know for sure in Canada, everywhere you went to buy a bicycle, you couldn't find one. So because all the gyms were closed, and like bicycle shops and retail stores have never sold this many bicycles ever, like by the hundreds. You can't, you go into a big department store or a big retailer, and the bicycle shelves from big to small are completely gone. So these are just some of the things that people have found to do with their time, is whether they're learning at home or buying televisions to watch more movies or to do things online, or buying bicycles to go out and exercise as an alternative to going to the gym.
Right.
So
and I also see
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I also see renting and leasing picking up in a very big way in many categories which we never imagined previously in this market. A lot of things, people use it, and then after 6 months they don't need it, so it is again back to be rented. Be it all the capital goods also, it is now available. Use it as long as you want, and after that you move on to something else. So renting and leasing is catching up in a very big way in categories which we have never imagined. For example, let's take a bicycle. You could possibly rent a bicycle for 6 months, and after that, if your needs change, you could sell it, or renew it, or take something else. So a lot of new patterns are emerging, and it is not the same like how it used to be before.
Absolutely. And folks, just so you know, even though there's a little bit of a delay today, maybe about 2 to 3 seconds in the audio, but this is because we're speaking to Janaki all the way from India. It is about 8:15 p.m. there, and it is 10:45 a.m. here in Canada, or in the Eastern time zone anyways. So yeah, the sound is taking a little bit of time to travel there and back via the internet, and Janaki is on her phone. The last time you had a power outage, for crying out loud. There was a storm, you had a power outage, and you were on the roof of your building at night with a phone, doing a show with me. Like, you're incredible. So, folks, the power of technology and determination from this lady. So I do appreciate you very much. What might be 3 tips you could offer to our listeners who may be facing layoffs right now due to the COVID, as it relates to what they could do to alleviate some of the stress and the possibility of creating new opportunities, instead of just waiting for things to get better? What are 3 things you think people could think about?
Right. See, first of all, the entire degree of influence is come from outside. So you'll have to accept the situation, whether your business is down or whether your business is shut down. You have to accept that situation. Okay, I have lost my job, or my business is completely shut down. Accept that, and really reflect on 3 skills that you may have gathered over your experience in the last so many years working in that business or working in that job. Write down those 3 skills and make yourself available to the nearest small businesses in what way you can help them. If need be, volunteer yourself to help them boost their sales or any particular aspect of their business which need help, which also takes care of your day-to-day requirements or monthly requirements when it comes to a job or when it comes to paying a bill or these things. Make sure that you have at least 2 to 3 engagements which keep you occupied with those skills that you can help any business with. So that is something which you need to really figure out. Third thing is, if you feel that no, business is not for me, but I'm going to give it a try, this is a good time to do some kind of buying and selling. See, what is moving in the market in terms of essential services. Make yourself available and make sure that you're selling some kind of products day in and day out to take care of your requirements or the requirement of your family on a daily basis, especially with regards to employees. Okay. With respect to business people, it is key for them to be flexible in terms of, okay, if one business is not working, let us give a try, getting into some other vertical or balance it out. Suppose if you're in a business like office furniture or home furniture, it will be a good idea for you to try and see if you can do something in home decor and see what is moving in that direction. It's also about, spreading your risks into other areas. Okay, if this doesn't work, something else might work. So that is also something which you could innovate. Third is for business people, if you have not got online, if you have not explored the digital space, it's time for you to make those partnerships and collaborate for your industry related products and services so that it can be taken to a larger audience, to a larger set of people, and create more opportunities for others in the form of resellers, in the form of employment opportunities for other people under current market conditions. Right. The next 6 to 8 months is very crucial in terms of developing a strong foundation if you're starting a new vertical or spreading your business risks across other areas.
Wow, those are some very good tips, Janaki. And what I like about conversing with you is that this is just coming off the top of your head. Like this is like you were born for this. And I can see why so many individuals resonate with you and identify with you, because a lot of these ideas is what people need to hear, in terms of what their options might be, and how to pivot, and how to try something different, and that there's hope. And you don't have to sit there in doom and gloom and just play the waiting game. You can actually make change, and evolve, and
Yes,
contribute to change in the world, for crying out loud. And this has been happening a lot, as you've made changes, and you've made a major change now to influence and affecting other people's lives. So it doesn't, I mean, just
right.
a few months ago, I never noticed you on LinkedIn, but here you are now. So those social channels
Yeah.
are very, very important. And I think, especially if you know you have something to contribute, I think it's literally a responsibility to get out there and put it out there. So you never know who you're going to help or how many people you're going to help.
True, true. Now, just to tell you, Everold, travel, food, aviation, garments, these are all industries which are so badly hit in the last 4 5 months. They're absolutely not operational, firstly because we have a travel shutdown. I mean, it is gradually getting released. People are not traveling like before. So just imagine those people who are involved in this kind of service industry. For them, it is a very big blow. So they have to try different things to ensure that they are navigating through this crisis till everything normalizes. Of course, everything will normalize. There is going to be a new normal, but people will have to keep doing something to navigate through these times. There is nobody who is going to be left out.
Absolutely. So when navigating through job transition or industry change, like you're alluding to right now, what are some recommendations you might have to that could alleviate some of the added stress of dealing with, now you're having to deal with job change, now industries are changing, everything is changing on top of dealing with this pandemic? How do people navigate through this without losing their mind?
Sales, marketing, finance, all the basic functions, human resources. In what way can you contribute to any small business or any self-employed person is what you need to look at. Even if you're not getting the kind of salary or the pay that you wish to, you must be willing to volunteer and mentor yourself or help other people. That is the best way to navigate this time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a pretty big deal, which I think is in one of my other questions here is, instead of, one should not wait to network, and which is what we did. We did that initially, which is why we're now having 2 shows together all the way from India. I've never had a show this far before. I think maybe one from the Middle East, but Dubai or somewhere there. I did have a show, but this is all because of networking. So best practices for standing out in a job search, those haven't changed, and you still have to put your name out there. You still have to do the network. You still have to have the professional approach to building relationships. And as you alluded to, is to offer of yourself without really expecting anything, or offer help and advice and coaching and volunteer and participation, and things will come back to you. Because if you're a professional and you're putting yourself out there, there's always other people who could identify with what you have to offer and identify with what you say, and will reach out and engage. So one of the things I recommend is approaching your professional relationship as a place to give rather than to receive in a time like this. and join relevant discussions on LinkedIn, like I have with you in many instances, where the discussion just goes up and so many people start to participate, and then people start to offer their services and offer their networks. And you just never know what might come of it. Even just last week, through another network on LinkedIn, I literally just hired another designer who I'm working with because of networking. And this specific project that I'm working on requires someone of her ilk, and that occurred literally just from a third-party network. So these things happen. People find jobs, opportunities right here on these networks. So how have you, what have you seen? I mean, you've been at this now in a big way in the last few months. What have you seen during this pandemic time, Janaki, that has surprised you, or where have you seen some opportunities being created right in front of your eyes?
Everold, I see infinite possibilities in this platform for anyone, because whatever we are speaking, possibly somebody somewhere in the globe is listening to it, and it does a whole lot of difference to them. And I personally feel that nobody should be judged, whether it is a employee who opens up an influence within his organization, who then helps you into a decision making of a big order. So these things are magical. So this is not just any other platform. We need to be very careful about what we speak, how we comment, what we write, how we talk. These things are all very crucial for anybody who's trying to build a social media presence online. So it is a fantastic platform for lead generation and networking, and it is important to be polite and straightforward in your dealings to ensure that there is a lot of trust, and at the same time good camaraderie when you are dealing with people.
Amazing. So what are some of some best practices, like if you were to recommend best practices to people right now who are sitting at home and they realize the old economy is not coming back, number one. Major companies and multiple major companies all across the world, some are closing their doors, some are laying off, some are being bought up, and there's so much uncertainty still for the immediate future.
Right.
What do you say to those people in terms of, what to do? What's their next step, you think?
Right. Everold, if you see, generally a career path in most places, he starts as a sales executive, then he becomes a middle level sales manager, then he becomes a sales head, and like this, 11 years, 12 years passes away. But the pandemic kind of situation might give a totally new opportunity for a person who has been in the same career to start a second career, possibly because he or she doesn't get an opportunity into sales, so there is no other option but to start their own business or help other people get more sales. So this is a good option to start a second career, or somebody who has finished a second career, a third career as well. So I personally feel that the resume is all about the past. You can rewrite your future under current circumstances.
Wow. So how do we, when should people reach out in your mind? If you're at home and wondering what to do, should they reach out? What are some of the best practices to reach out, and where would you start?
One of the best things is happening online is people spending a lot of time in social media because they are not at the workplace, and this is going to be the way for next 6 to 8 months till businesses really come back and really the work starts flowing. Right now, people have that extra time to have conversations, talk to people. You will be able to get through decision maker more easily than what it was before. So that's what I have been always reiterating, that the next 180 days are very crucial for somebody who is restarting, redoing, or rewriting their career. Because this will compound in the next 5 years or next 10 years time in whatever area they're working into.
Wow. So is there anything that you have seen or feedback that you have received in the last 3 months, let's say pre-COVID and during, and then in the last little while, anything that has surprised you, anything that you think you say, oh my goodness, I never thought that this would be this way or this could happen?
Okay. When I started building content to generate leads, there were many people who used to tell me that, you are selling. I said, without selling, you will not be able to do anything. So,
Amen to that.
so without sales, you will not be able to navigate anything. It is the lifeblood of every organization or every person or whatever business or whatever expertise you have. Unless you're going to go up, show yourself up, there is not going to be much traction or change, and you have to keep doing it again, irrespective of what the outside situations and circumstances are. You have to show up.
I want to hear you say this again to people out there who always say, well, I'm not a salesperson, I'm not in sales, car salespeople, realtors, this, that, the other, doctors, dentists. What are they all doing, Janaki?
Yeah, I proudly say I sell.
Absolutely. They're all selling. And if you're not selling a direct product, you're selling a service.
Yeah.
You're definitely selling yourselves. And this is what most people need to do today, is to work on themselves so that you can have a better version of yourselves to offer to others. Because that's where the value is. The holistic value in the sales process is in dealing with the person. The product they may be able to get anywhere or at different places, or at least a few options.
Every piece kind of sets sale.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Every piece of content, which is text or a video, is actually building trust, and it is sales.
Exactly. It might be a little slower, but it is still sales, and that's building that trust so that one day you can offer those people a direct product or service. And True. I've seen that, work for me, because it's been years and years of building content and offering ideas and solutions via my social channels. And lately, the calls have been coming from everywhere. I've gotten calls from Greece. I've gotten calls from the Caribbean, and of course, local North American calls as well. But if you continue to add value to people's lives, which is really should be your number one goal, especially now. It was always important to add value, but today, if you are not doing something to make the other person's life better, there's really no point in even starting, because everyone is going through something. You don't know who in their family. I mean, more and more lately, I'm encountering people on a personal level, whether it's be a friend or a distant relative or a neighbor, a coworker, a client who knows of or is directly associated with someone that's had or been affected by COVID. So this is coming closer to home on a daily basis, every day that passes.
Right. So in such a scenario, I would tell people, don't take any drastic decisions relating to your jobs, relationships, money, etc. Let the tide pass, let the storm pass. Automatically, it will calm down at some stage, and then you can take it and decide from there. Don't take any drastic decisions when there is a storm.
Oh, good advice from Janaki here. Folks, this is episode 72 of the Reid Method Insider Podcast. We are speaking with Janaki Sreenivasan all the way from India, and it is 9:05 p.m. in India right now. It's 11:05 a.m. Or probably it's 9:30 there, right?
8:35.
8:35. Okay, I'm all over the place. Anyways, it's nighttime there. Okay, and it's morning here in Canada on the Eastern time zone. And
Right.
Janaki is a world away, but this is her second episode with me. The first episode was received with huge fanfare and appreciation from all over the world. And there are hundreds and hundreds of engagement from her followers all across India and many other places across the world. And I so much respect your perspective in down-to-earth approach to dealing with what are big, major, life-changing, serious issues. You know, you kind of bring, in my opinion, a sense of clarity and calmness to the situation, which I think a lot of people need today, which is why I certainly wanted to reach out to you again. Based on the response from the first show, I thought, you know what, this is hitting home. People are being positively impacted by your statements and by your thought process and ideas, and that's what we want to do. So what do you say about you know, from a personal care perspective, because you know we're all going through everything right now. Our minds are going so fast, what to do, how to do it, you know, working from home, finances, health, you know, pivoting and changing our jobs. But what about ourselves? What should people do to make sure that they take care of themselves personally so they don't get stressed out or burnt out and in feeling like they want to do something silly because they're stuck at home? Did you get that question?
Yeah, personally, it has helped me in terms of care. When you say personal care or self-care, meditation has helped me a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is very important to keep yourself calm even when there is a storm around. It is not that, you know, pivot is not happening. Pivot is happening with everybody, and everything will settle out at some stage. We just need to navigate this next 8 to 10 months very carefully. That's what I said, that, you know, don't take any drastic decisions, very big decisions with respect to your jobs, money, or relationship, because everywhere everything is changing, and people will also have the understanding. People will understand if you have had any issues pertaining to COVID or job loss, because it's been happening all over, right? So it's better to go slow and gradually take decisions which are very crucial once everything gets calmer, which will maybe in a few months from now, in a new
So,
normal.
so if we were to sum up this episode, Janaki, you know, we're talking about taking care of ourselves, remaining calm as best as we can, not overreacting. You know, we're talking about networking and reaching out, offering of ourselves, learning from others, communicating, building trust. Some vital, you know, key areas we were talking about: starting up those new businesses or those new ideas that you've thought about for years but never had the time to do. And now you have some extra time at home. And how also to deal with job loss. And, you know, companies are shutting down left and right. And the old economy is not necessarily coming back. So what do you do and prepare for the future? So what would you leave as a takeaway tonight or today, depending on where you are in the world, with this episode on how to navigate through job loss during this pandemic? As some countries and some states and some cities are seeing surges. Some places and countries are seeing a significant slowdown and a gradual return to some sort of normalcy in business. But as the world overall looks at this situation, it's not getting better anytime soon on overall on the global scale. There is still an ongoing issue. So what do we do? What's your final takeaway if you were to leave the audience with a couple of things, 2 or 3 great ideas on how to navigate with today and be prepared for, let's say, for the rest of 2020?
One of the best ways to live is live for each day. If you have food on your table, if you have a roof over your head, and if you have some money to spare for any extra items or luxury, then be very grateful for that. That is the best way to live the rest of 2020. If you have wonderful relationships, beautiful people around you who can help you. Personally, I have seen it in my own life, Everold. Recently, in the last 3 months, there have been so many people who have helped me in ways which I can never imagine. So I think these are small things which we need to be very grateful for and live life for the rest of 2020 and the future in the same way. That there is so much kindness and gratitude around.
Yes. Well, thank you. And kindness and gratitude, definitely, because I that resonates with you as well. And I so much appreciate you being on the show and staying up late for me again, to speak to the world and to share your ideas on this episode 72. So folks, Janaki was on episode 64 of the Reid Method Insider Podcast. So go to your favorite podcast app, iTunes, SoundCloud, Shopee, what do you call them? Spotify, yeah, we're there too. Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Look for the Reid Method Insider, and our first episode was episode 64, where Janaki shared so many great ideas on navigating and preparing yourself to deal with the current situation. And in this episode 72, we're speaking about how to navigate through job loss during a pandemic, and she shared some great ideas. So I definitely want to thank Janaki. And Janaki, just before you go, how about you just share with the audience how to connect with you and to get in touch?
Yeah, you can follow me, follow at Janaki. I'm there on LinkedIn. I'm not accepting new connection requests, but you can follow at Janaki. And if you're looking to follow my content, hashtag Janaki.
Awesome. Hashtag Janaki, Janaki.
Yep.
And I'm definitely following Janaki. So she's got some great ideas, and I very much appreciate you. So folks, we always appreciate you as well, hearing from you, as we have been a lot lately, and we've been seeing your feedback and countries that I've never thought would even hear this show: Morocco, Ukraine, Bangladesh, Indonesia, like in India, and tons of listeners now from India, thanks to Janaki here. We always enjoy hearing from you. So send us your feedback at insider@thereidmethod.com. That's insider@thereidmethod.com. And also stay tuned for some great news coming soon. We'll be starting a new feature automotive podcast as well, because I'm largely involved in the automotive space as well. So I'll be doing a separate podcast that's starting probably the first week of September that will be focused on the automotive sector, because we need a lot of help in that sector as well. So please subscribe and download your favorite episode via all the different apps: iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. Don't forget, while you're there, leave us a review. It helps us to spread the word. And with expert advice that we receive from folks like Janaki, we've had Les Brown on the show numerous times, Tom Hopkins, we've had Joe Jackson from CNN, Steve Benson of Badger Maps. He's a great contributor to the show on sales and personal development. And folks, always remember, especially for 2020, be thoughtful, be intentional, and please be safe. Well, thank you very much, Janaki, for being on the show.